Lance Hernandez, who's been on the south side, and we believe he's joining us now to tell us more about. You've been watching these aerial drops today, Lance.
We've been watching them all afternoon long, Mike and Ann, and I can tell you it's been very, very active. We've seen a number of people coming out here to take pictures of those aerial drops. It's an awesome sight if you haven't seen a DC-10 in action before. I got to tell you, we've seen the same wind today that we've seen for the last 2 days. We got here late this morning, went up to a roadblock we couldn't get through, found the National Guard there turning everyone away except emergency crews. We know that there are a number of homeowners that live in the area really want to get in there to see what their property looks like, to see if they've lost homes, to see if there is anything to recover, even trying to get animals. And the National Guard's people were turning them around, telling them that they can't let anybody in without an escort and that they don't have anybody to provide escorts right now because the deputies are all very, very busy just dealing with crowds elsewhere and dealing with a traffic situation and with the evacuation boundaries that keep getting expanded. You're looking right now on the ridge just south of me. As you mentioned, I'm on the south side of this fire, and you can see what it looks like right now. Earlier today, we saw several dark black plumes of smoke reaching skyward a number of times, and it's been like that for this entire fire, where something will catch fire, either a building, an outbuilding, or a big clump of trees. The black smoke comes up, and then it turns white. And then after a while, it turns black again as something else catches fire. Very frustrating for homeowners who want to get in. They still don't know when they're going to be able to. We even ran into one woman who has some animals that she wants to get out. They said that they will take her in when they've got a deputy available, but they have to send a deputy in first to make sure her house is there. And then they have to come back out and get her so that she can go back in and get her animals. So just a frustrating day as people watch what's going on behind them and try to hope and pray that their homes and animals are still there. Reporting live in El Paso County, Lance Hernandez, 7 News.
Lance, such a powerful image there in back of you. Tell us the most compelling story that you've heard today from folks that are trying to get out of the way of this fire, people who have lost things in the fire.
Well, we talked with one couple who told us that they think that their house is still there, but they know that they've got some neighbors who've lost homes. They also told us, we're going to pan off because there's a DC-10 flying right over me right now, so we'll show that while I continue to talk about this couple who told me that they were very distraught to learn that one of their neighbors, they had learned, was evacuating, removing stuff from his home yesterday, loading up trailers and vehicles with treasured belongings, and he apparently suffered a heart attack and may have passed away. They're very distraught about that. They said they didn't know for sure about their property. They thought that it was still okay, but they know that the winds are variable, that they can change on a moment's notice. So, you know, they're just kind of praying and keeping their fingers crossed that they still have something to come back to. Again, there's that DC-10. We've seen it make numerous drops today. We shot some video a little bit earlier, and later on in this newscast, we'll show you what one of those drops looks like. It's pretty darn impressive. Off to the right from that main plume of smoke that we were showing you earlier, you can see some wisps in an area of trees that burned earlier. And we talked with another neighbor who told us that she's seen smoke coming from that tree clump numerous times since this fire started. And there's still some unburned timber, still some homes in that area. So people that live in that area very concerned that the fire could move back. It's already happened before on a number of areas. And I know that people are very concerned that the wind could turn around and burn it back into areas that burned once before but didn't burn completely, and could finish the job the second time around. Back to you.
Yeah, that is, I think, been well, there's so many interesting things about this fire, but the fact that it is so unpredictable, Lance, and that you even spoke about this with the smoke itself. It's just spotty and then burns back on itself. How do you compare the winds today, say, compared to yesterday?
Well, I can tell you, I was on the north side of the fire yesterday, so all the smoke was blowing toward us, and you'd see a great big plume of smoke going straight up for a while, and then the wind would blow it back down, and you just see a great big thick haze. It looked like fog or smog blowing down, and we smelled that smoke yesterday, came home smelling like a forest fire. Today we're on the south side, so the wind is behind us blowing toward that fire. I don't smell any smoke today, but I can imagine what it's like on the north side over there, the folks that are dealing with it. The wind just as strong today as it was yesterday. We've seen evidence of that with the grass that's blowing.
Right, exactly. And Lance, another question about the air activities today, what you're seeing from your vantage point. Yesterday we saw, of course, the DC-10, but we saw an awful lot of activity from the helicopters with the water drops, I should say, the Chinooks and others getting water on those areas. Are you seeing those as well?
I have seen the helicopters. I have seen the DC-10. We've seen the DC-10 and one of the other smaller tankers make a drop. Not the DC-10, I'm sorry. The DC-10 and the other tanker make a drop. We have seen helicopters flying around, one of them with the water bucket, but I haven't seen the bucket drops themselves because I think they're on the other side of the ridge and are doing some drops outside of my view. There's that DC-10. What they do normally is fly around a couple of times to get their bearings. Usually there's a lead plane in front of the tanker helping guide them into the drop area. If it's okay to drop, they'll go ahead and make the drop. If not, they'll loop around again one more time and then make the drop the second time and then head back down to Pueblo to fill up.
Yeah,
Mike?
They are pretty impressive. We watched yesterday some of the workings of that DC-10 and to see the inside where they literally, this was a plane that was a passenger plane that was used. They moved all the interior out and were carrying literally bags and bags of retardant inside. It was a fascinating process, and it's still just stunning to see it as it's flying over that fire there.
It's pretty awesome. The video that we shot a little bit earlier, I hope we get a chance to show it a little bit later on. After it made its drop, the plane, of course, was a lot lighter, and it looked like it was going straight up with a great big trail of red retardant behind it. It almost looked like the space shuttle taking off from Cape Canaveral with that great big plume of smoke underneath it. That's what it looked like to me when I was watching it from the south side over here. And as you mentioned, the plane had been stripped bare of all the seats on the inside to lighten the weight, so it's got all the extra, so it's got capacity to carry all the retardant underneath. It is pretty impressive, Ann.
Yeah, Mark Stewart was pointing out to us last night, this is part of the new generation of aircraft that are coming through. Although it's interesting, we've talked a lot about the fact that these aircraft that they've been fighting fires with for many years now are so old. This aircraft was last manufactured in 1989, so it's pretty old itself, but it's certainly newer than some of the ones that we've seen up there. Yeah. Seeing those C-130s is exciting too, the MAF firefighting elements that they have.
It is, but I can tell you from the folks that we talked to, they don't care how old the aircraft are. They're just grateful to see them down here in the Black Forest area. We're going to pan off to the right again, and it looks like it's that huge lumbering DC-10 flying west again. I don't know if it's just going to circle around and then come in from the west and try to make a drop or what it's going to do. But when that thing flies overhead, you can see how big it is and how impressive it looks when we're this close right now.
Well, and I think when we're talking about folks in that area, this is a sign of progress. And, people are thrilled to be able to see something like this, no matter, as you say, how old it is. It means that they're working on this fire. And look how powerful that is.
And like I said, they are grateful. We talked with one lady who lives in the house just underneath where that plane's flying right now. She's been on her balcony for a good stretch of the day, just kind of keeping an eye to the south. She was evacuated temporarily last night. And she said, we learned after the Waldo Canyon fire, she said, we had friends who lost homes there. And one of their friends' sons even stayed with them for about 3 months after the Waldo Canyon fire. And Jim, off to the left, you can see a chopper over there carrying a bucket. I don't know if we've got time to pan over there. We can just show you one of the choppers flying by. Can't tell if there's water in the bucket or if he's on his way to go get some water, but we have seen those choppers working all day long, too. At any rate, that lady I was telling you about, she said that they learned from the Waldo Canyon fire what to pack. They were ready within a moment's notice. They got all the stuff out. And then when the fire didn't move this way, they were able to come back and get a few more treasured items that they weren't in such a hurry to get out for, including one of their cats that they didn't find yesterday. So they're grateful. They're grateful that they had time to come back to a house. They're grateful that they've got a house to come back to. And they're grateful for the air crews that are still working on this fire.
And
there's that great big DC-10 again.
And that cat is, yeah, sure it is. I was going to say that cat's very happy. It has 8 lives left now.
Heck yes.
We're going to check back in with you in a little bit, Lance. Thanks so much. We appreciate it. We wanted to give you